One of the more informal methods for multiplication is the number line. We're going to look at how you can use that here. Starting with a few multiplication facts that your child will be learning if they don't already know them. Looking at 4s and 7s. 4 times 7 on a number line, we could move along the number line in jumps of 4, 7 times. So one lot of 4 takes you to 4. The next lot of 4, and particularly for children who are still learning their 4 times tables, they might want to count some of these individually. So they might do 4 little jumps, see where that takes them. So from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But many children using this method will just do jumps of 4 straight away. 2 lots of 4 is 8, and then 3 lots of 4. Again, children who are just learning this would be doing 4 jumps and then counting on from the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Obviously that takes longer, but while children are learning this, it's fine for them to do this while they're practicing. 4th jump of 4 takes you to 16. 5 lots of 4 is 20, 6 lots of 4 is 24, and 7 lots of 4 takes you to 28. So 4 times 7 is 28. Remember, you have a choice as to how you do this. You could go in jumps of 7, depending on how confident you are counting in 7s. There are fewer jumps if you count in 7s 4 times, just that the jumps are that bit bigger. But it still takes you to 28. Usually in Year 3, children are learning their 8 times tables, so they might already know this one, but have a go on the number line anyway. It's good practice. Pause the video, have a go. Counting in jumps of 8, so one lot of 8 takes you to 8, 2 lots of 8 takes you to 16, and just counting in 8s, and you would do that 9 times, adding on 8 each time, and you'll get to 72. Again, you can do this the other way round. You could do bigger jumps of 9 and do that 8 times. So counting in jumps of 9, adding on 9 each time until you've done that 8 times. It'll still get you to the same number, 72. Where this method really starts to come into its own is where you're using bigger numbers that your child won't necessarily know off by heart. Your child might know 12 times 6, but they're not as likely to know 15 times 6, so they might need a written aid to help them do that. You could, for this one, do 15 jumps of 6, adding on 6 each time, and you'd have to do that 15 times, and you can probably appreciate that that would take quite a while. Again, it's fine to do this when your child is first getting to grips with number lines and how they work. Once they start working with really big numbers, this isn't the most efficient way to use a number line. You'll get to 90. What you could do to make this process much quicker is to use what's sometimes known as chunking. And here's where you use your knowledge of partitioning numbers. As we looked at in the partitioning video, you can partition any number that has 2 or more digits into its separate place values. So for example, 15 is 10 at 5, and you could multiply each of those by 6 separately. So instead of doing 10 individual jumps of 6, you could just do one big jump of 10 times 6, or 6 times 10, which takes you straight to 60. Now out of that 15, you have 5 left, so 6 times 5, and that's 30. You're going to add 30 onto the 60, which takes you to 90, and that's a much quicker way of doing it. Here's one like that for you to try. 18 times 4. Try using chunking and your knowledge of partitioning the number 18 to make this method a lot more efficient. Pause the video, have a go. 18 partitioned is 10 plus 8. On the number line, we're going to start by multiplying each part of that 18 by 4. So starting with the 10, 4 times 10 takes you straight to 40. Now you have 4 times 8, which is 32. Add 32 onto 40, takes you to 72. Much quicker than counting 18 lots of 4. And here's another one for you to try, 16 times 8. Pause the video, have a go. Partition 16, that's 10, add 6. Now we're going to multiply each part of that by 8, starting with 8 times 10, which takes you straight to 80. Now 8 times 6, which is 48. Add that 48 onto the 80, takes you to 128. This one's a little bit different. We're going to partition 26, and you have 20, add 6. Very often at this stage, children are more confident multiplying by 10 than they are 20, and if they want to do that, that's fine, and you can break that 20 down into 10, add 10, and then add on the 6 to make 26. Now we're going to multiply each part of that number by 3. So starting with 3 times 10, which will take you to 30. Now we're going to multiply 3 by the next 10, add on another 30, takes you to 60. So far you've worked out 20 times by 3. Now you're left with 6. 6 times 3, or 3 times 6, is 18. Add that onto the 60 and you have 78. And here's one like that for you to try. Pause the video, have a go. Partition 28, that's 20, add 8. And if you find it easier, you can break that down further into 10, add 10, add 8. And on your number line, each of these will be multiplied by 6. 6 times 10 takes you to 60. Another 6 times 10 means you add on another 60, which takes you to 120. Now you have 6 times 8, which is 48. Add that on to 120, that's 168. You can even do this with much bigger numbers. This time we're going to multiply 116 by 4 using the number line. Again, your knowledge of partitioning here is really useful. 116 is 100, add 10, add 6, and you can multiply each of these individually by 4. Starting with 100 times 4, or 4 times 100, takes you straight to 400. Now you're going to multiply that 4 by 10, so you're adding on another 40. And that takes you to 440. Now you're multiplying the 4 by 6, which is 24. Add 24 onto 440, that takes you to 464. And this one's for you to try, 118 times by 6. Pause the video, have a go. Partition 118, that's 100, add 10, add 8. Starting with 100 times by 6, 6 times 100, that's 600. Now we're going to do 10 times 6, 6 times 10, that's 60, add that onto the 600, 660. And finally, 8 times 6, 6 times 8, that's 48, add that onto 660, that's 708.